If we keep doing these intensive processes, we run the risk of degrading the soil to the point where it can no longer produce food. And if it can't do that, then we've got a real problem.
Knowledge Transfer Partnership involves people in practice. For us, that's the Lake District farmers. It involves an academic partner, which in this case is Lancaster University. At the universities, we've got a bunch of ideas, but we need to practice them and figure out if they work on the ground. Likewise, people in practice and business have great ideas, are experimenting and innovating, and we need to figure out what will be the implications of that. So that collaboration is the perfect way to build new knowledge.
Chemicals that have been put onto the soil to fertilise the soil that can get run off into our streams and rivers, which is very damaging. Ploughing is particularly bad for the environment because what you're doing is you're basically getting the soil and turning it upside down and releasing all the carbon that the soil has sequestered or stored back into the atmosphere. Understanding the soils and what's in them will enable us to maybe change the grazing patterns on the farm, maybe introduce new plant life, but crucially, it's our understanding of how soil can store carbon and how we can keep doing that.
So the modellers take that raw data and look at a different regime of farm management and model how will that affect the soil in the longer term. And then it comes back to us accountants. So my job is to look at that model of the new forms of behaviour which the farmers are experimenting with and trying to develop, and try to predict for them using their financial accounts what would happen financially. Because at the heart of it, we still want farm livelihoods. We want these people to be able to sustain their generational businesses, but to develop in a way that's going to address global climate change concerns as well. And the resilience of our society depends on critical natural capital elements being fully incorporated, both into strategy, into planning, and then also reported to people who need to know about it, so they can take action as well.
Farmers need to understand how the change is going to happen, and they can only really do that through a financial model. And that's where accountants really come into their own, because they can show farmers the frameworks, the financial frameworks that will enable them to become more sustainable and find a route towards net zero.
So we'll be carrying on the work after the end of the Knowledge Transfer Partnership with them to be able to pass that knowledge onwards. We hope that we will have more knowledge from an accounting perspective of what this does to farm accounts, that we might have knowledge about what all accountants need to know in this area, which we would work with partners like the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales to help develop the capacity of their members. But then also we'll know more about the ecological system as well, and how farmers' action can cascade and create these changes.
The way that we look at the Knowledge Transfer Partnership and the data that we'll create and the reports that we'll create in the end, they have to be available to everybody. They have to be. Because there's no point of saying, like, we've created this amazing product, but it's all ours. This data is there to help people to make the right decision, and that's what we're here to do. My hope for the future is that farming in the UK and globally starts to become more sustainable. And that also includes biodiversity, net gain, boosting our biodiversity, because that actually helps to store carbon, but it also improves the nutritional content of the food that we're consuming as well.
I would hope in 10, 15 years' time, we've got some inbuilt resilience so that systems, that's business systems as well as ecological systems, are more able to cope with shocks. And as a result, human well-being can continue to be sustained. The chance to put on a pair of wellies and to wander out in the farms and actually see how our scholarship and accounting can help these farmers on the ground is just heaven.